In this video, we're going to be just cleaning up our widget, and I'm going to mention a slight change that we're going to do in the future to our player. So currently I have the player points stored inside of the actual character class. Now, what we're going to want to do in the future is move this over to our player state that we will be having, well, that we'll be creating. So a player state is essentially just, you can think of it like a way of, well, a good place to have variables that you want other clients to be able to know about. So that is where, for example, we would want to stick our points and replicate it. And things like our kills, headshots, and score. No, that's already points. So things like score or points, headshots, kills, that kind of stuff, knife kills, all of those will be stored in variables that are replicated inside of our player state. So we're not going to be doing that just yet. This is just I want to actually make another comment. Move to player state when created. And the reason I'm doing this is because the game mode or the game state? Or game state. I think it's a game state. So if we look to, let's create a game state base. So it's in the game state. So the game state holds what a variable called a player array. And that is essentially just a bunch of player states. So what we would do is inside of that game state, inside of like just anywhere really, the game state we can, so to sum it up, the game state is kind of like the player state version for the game mode, if that makes sense. So that's where we would want to have, things stored that other clients need to know about. So literally all clients, for example, such as what round we're on, or possibly the amount of zombies remaining and that kind of stuff. That would be inside of the game state. And since it holds a player array of all the player states, what we could do is we could use the index based on this array to kind of drive our UI or our HUD. So anytime anybody else's points change and it gets updated inside the player array or inside the player state, we can kind of perform some sort of change based on the index of that player array inside the game state. Probably explaining that very poorly, but that's just kind of the logic that I'm going to at least attempt first before we, one, either go a completely different route, or two, find out just it doesn't work and we need to do something else, or if it works, great. So enough rambling, let's go ahead and clean this up. I'm going to create a function in our HUD widget, and I'm going to call this one setup initial widgets. So in here, I'm going to get our player character and cast it like so. And I'm actually going to make this return our player. So let's see here. Actually, yeah, let's not bother making a return. Instead, we're just going to create a new variable. And let's call it character. No, just player character. And we're going to change the type to BP underscore Nazi zombie character, our object reference. I do not want it to be array. I want it to be a single variable. And we're simply going to set it. So now that that is set, what we can, do is take all of this over here for our creating of the widget and setting it into setup initial widget. Like so. Got an issue here. We need to set the target of get points to our player character. And now we're good to go. So now we can delete all this from our event graph. And I'm going to break the links here. Move all of this over. And we're just going to call setup initial widgets. And from here, we're going to get the player character. We're going to confirm that it's valid. If it's valid, we're going to bind all of these events. So player character to you, player character to you. And I think that is all. So we just shorten it a bit. We can have our own kind of dedicated section specific to, second thought, let's just simply get, make it a little cleaner. It's only running on the constructor, so it's not a big deal. It's only running once. Compile and save. Let's confirm that it still works. So events are still good. Points still go up. Yeah, all that's still nice and fine. So we just clean this up a bit. And for the rest of the stuff that we end up doing, such as the rounds and I don't know, I guess maybe even like the default weapon widget and all that stuff just for that initial setup will be performed inside of setup initial widgets. So now that that is dealt with, I will see you in the next one, but I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing in the next one yet, so be a nice surprise for both of, well, all of us. Anyways, yeah, I will see you then.